Hi everybody, this is Corie and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. I absolutely love you guys. You have no idea how much you mean to me. And if you are new, please consider subscribing. Hit the little subscribe button and then right next to it, hit that little bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And as you're watching along the way, if there's something that you like, please give me a big thumbs up because it really helps to support my channel. I'm working really hard to get to over 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate all of your support. So today's video is super exciting because I am participating in a challenge by Heidi Sonboul DIY. This month's challenge is back to school. So I have a kind of mix of different projects that I've done because I have a child headed off to college, we think, we hope. Crazy times right now. So she wanted some things for her dorm room. And then I also have some little nieces who are gonna be possibly part-time homeschooling, but at least they're gonna have homework. So made some things that they'll be able to use at home and to display some of their masterpieces. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. Oh, but one more thing. After you watch my video, be sure to check out the playlist because there are a ton of fantastic crafters that participate in these challenges. So you'll want to make sure that you watch their videos as well. All right, here we go. Let's get started. Okay, so here we go with DIY number 1. So put on your seatbelts because we've got a lot to cover. This is a 4-in-1 DIY number 1. So we're starting with these little Velcro buttons from the Dollar Tree. I have a jelly jar, a little ball jar, and this is a jar from some simmer sauce that we used for a meal. I don't know when. I've got some scrap greenery, and this is a Lazy Susan mechanism I got off of Amazon. I'll put the link in the description box if you're interested. I'm not sure what this is exactly. It's a glass tray of some sort from Dollar Tree, some leftover jute twine from another project, and a bunch of different colors of paint. So we're going to start out with this, I don't know what it is, cheese plate maybe? I don't know. And we're going to give it a couple of coats of the Adirondack white chalk paint. This is home decor chalk paint by Folk Art. So once that is completely painted and dried, I am actually going to come back in with bare wax in dark. I had used my heat gun, as always, to get my paint to dry, and in the process of doing that, it had kind of given the paint a crackling kind of appearance in some places, and I actually kind of liked it. So that didn't really bother me, and I thought using the wax, it might bring out some of the texture in this, and it might look a little bit more interesting. So this project is something that I am doing for my nieces. I have a couple of little nieces and then an older niece in the same family, and so this is something I'm doing for them. While my older niece is in high school, my 2 younger ones are in grade school. So next thing we're going to do here is just add this Lazy Susan mechanism onto the bottom of the glass tray. I'm just using a lot of hot glue, and then I did go back in and secure each of those corners a little bit more with some Gorilla Glue. So you can see it's spinning. So the next piece in this DIY is this jar, and we're going to give it a couple of coats of the Adirondack white chalk paint again. And then once that's dry, I'm going to come in and use my painter's tape and this nautical blue. I wanted to get really straight lines here. I thought about trying to do this by hand without the painter's tape, and then decided I really needed to not be lazy because it was not going to come out the way that I was hoping for if I tried to just wing it with just trying to use a steady hand. So I taped it all off and went in with a couple of coats of the nautical blue, and then I repeated this another 3 times up the length of the jar. And I'm going to be speeding that up for you so you don't have to sit here and watch taping and untaping and taping and untaping. So we'll give you our first reveal right there, and then we'll skip right over to the end for that last reveal. So there you are with the 4 lines going up the length of the bottle. So now I'm coming in with some additional painter's tape, and I am going to be doing a vertical line, this time in red. I was going to use my red Sharpie paint marker, or I did try to use my red Sharpie paint marker. It was not quite as opaque as I had hoped, so I just went over it a couple times, and that was fine. The thing is, when I lifted up the tape, I was like, it spread underneath the tape. It was kind of like, bummer. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to fix that. But while I've got the red Sharpie open, I just go ahead and do my A+, as if it's a little graded paper, with the Sharpie marker, and the Sharpie worked just fine for that. So the other I need to fix up, but try to use the white Sharpie marker to do that, but it was really just making it too wet, and it was just making it bleed even more. So I went back in with the chalk paint with a brush and just touched it up all along the length of that red line, and that worked just fine. So there you go. And so there you have it with the little A+, and it's our little loose leaf paper, which I thought was super cute. Then I'm just taking a little bit of the jute cord that I had left from another project and going to do a very simple bow right on the front, or what I'm calling the front of the jar. And then what I did was I knotted the ends each time and then just trimmed off the ends. And there you go for this cute little jar. They can put their pencils in it or whatever. So now we're moving on to the jelly jar, and I really like the shape of this, and it's got a really cool, I don't know what you'd call it, texture, but this is Castle and vintage mustard chalk paints. And I am going to mix these colors together. I was trying to get a really light wood tone, and I was looking at the vintage mustard as I was putting it out here, and I'm thinking, it's almost the right color, but not quite. So I'm gonna mix in some of the Castle, and I'm trying to decide, exactly how to go about this to get the color I want. So I'm gonna test it here, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. So I end up just mixing all of that in together, and then I'm going to just paint that top part above those little archways, if you will. And I wasn't super perfect. I mean, I was trying to follow the little archways a little bit, but I knew I was going to be coming back in with another color below that and another color again above that. So I didn't worry about being too perfect. That got 3 coats, and you saw it finished there. And now we're coming in with Summer Porch. This is just a lemony yellow, if you will, just a nice soft yellow. And here I am being a bit more careful in those archways, if you will, and just making sure that my lines are crisp and neat. And then I go in and I fill in the rest of the section that I want covered with the yellow paint. You're starting to figure out what this is going to be? So pink paint next. This is a color that I had mixed for another project a few weeks ago, and going to be coming in and painting the bottom section of this. This is going to be our eraser, because if you haven't already figured it out, we're making a little pencil. So we've got our wood tone at the top, our yellow, now our pink, and now coming in with black for our lead. So I'm going to make this line really nice and crisp as well, and just get the line the way that I want it as I'm going over that wood tone, if you will. So I'll fill in the rest of the top on that, and then I just went back and alternated and added additional coats of paint. And here it is once I've got all of the paint on, and we're going to go in and fill in that one last little piece with folk art in a metallic silver. So we've got to have our little, I guess it's the little metal piece that holds the eraser to your pencil. So taping it off again, and this jar is not perfectly straight. It gets wider as you go up or more narrow as you go down. So I did cut my tape here and there trying to get the paint or the painter's tape to lay the way that I needed to. So I had somewhat of a straight line or a semblance of a straight line going all the way around my jar. So again, gave this 3 coats of paint. Everything here on this one got 3 coats of paint for each of the colors, including the silver. And when I was pulling off the painter's tape, it did pull up a little teeny bit of my yellow chalk paint, but I was easily able to go back in and just touch it up where it got pulled off. And there's that. I thought that came out really cute. So again, tying around the top with my jute twine, jute cord, whatever you want to call it. So making a cute little bow. I did end up double knotting all these bows because, just in case the girls pulled on it, it wouldn't just come unraveled. So now for the mini ball jar, I'm going to be painting this in Imperial, which is a nice apple red color, because this one we are going to make to look or at least resemble or be inspired by an apple. So once that is dry, 3 coats of paint, I'm going to take our greenery and just cut off a couple of the leaves, and I'm going to fasten those on with some hot glue. So I'm sorry I'm speeding right through this, you guys. I was trying to be conscious of your time because I knew I had a ton of projects here. This is a 4-part for this first DIY. I've got another DIY that's a 4-part and another one that's a 3-part. So just really wanted to keep things moving. So do you like this pace? Is this something that I should slow down even if it makes the video a lot longer? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd really like to know your thoughts on it. If I'm going too fast, I am more than happy to slow down. I've just been trying to keep the videos to somewhere around 30-35 minutes. But using some more of the jute cord, this time I wrapped it around a few times. I just wanted it a little bit more rustic since this was the apple, and tying it off and just finishing off the ends again. So the girls have already selected which of these jars is theirs. Kayla wanted the one with the A+ on it because her goal is to have A+, and Alexa picked the pencil, so Kenzie got the apple, and here they are on the little turntable. And just for some added stability, this is optional, but I wanted to Velcro them down so that if the girls start spinning the little tray, they don't go flying off. Because again, this is all glass and the girls are a little bit younger, 2 of them anyway. But they will still be able to just pull them off there if they want to take one of them to their room. But I just have to say, thank you to Michaela and Alexa and Kenzie too. But I know that Kayla and Alexa have been watching my YouTube channel, and I told them I would give them a big shout out. So thank you so much for your support, you guys. I love you. So there we are. Super cute. Here we go with DIY number 2. So for this, we're going to be using adhesive spray. I also have these fancy paper clips from the Dollar Tree, and I had picked out some matching cardstock from a big pack I had from Hobby Lobby or something. And then we're using the paper cutter and a hole punch. Now I did also end up using some laminate paper, the clear laminating stuff, but the permanent kind. And I realized that if you do decide that you want to laminate these, you don't really need the adhesive spray. And I kind of made a big mess with the adhesive spray anyway. I feel like I got it everywhere. Anyway. It was an adventure. But I am cutting my cardstock strips at 1.5 inches wide. These are 8.5 by 8.5 by 11 sheets. So they are 11 inches long, 1.5 inches wide. I'm folding each of them in half. So this is ultimately going to be 1.5 inches by 5 3/4. Did I do my math right? Inches long. So I am just kind of getting an idea of what I'm doing with these little tassels. paper clips that are going to be my tassels, and then going in and punching out a hole like at the halfway part of the hole. So can you see there? So kind of did like a half moon so that when you open it, you've got a full circle. Took the tassel off the paper clip, stuck it through, and rehooked the paper clip on the other side. That way your tassel is stuck to what is going to be our bookmark. So then I'm going to do that on all of the rest. And once those are all set, I am going to open them up and spray the inside, just the one side, with the spray adhesive. And you have to work a little bit quickly with this because if you don't adhere your pieces fast enough, it becomes a non-permanent tack, if you will. So if you were to spray that and just leave it for a little bit and then put it together, it would almost be like sticky note, supposedly. You'd be able to pull it back apart again. So now I'm coming in with my paint marker and I'm just gonna write the girls' names. I did one for Michaela, one for Alexa, one for Mackenzie, and also one for my daughter, Elena. So I did have to go back over this a few times. For whatever reason, the cardstock just wanted to suck the paint right up. And so I just went over it a couple of times until I had it to the darkness that I wanted. There's Michaela's. Now you could also do something on a silhouette or on a Cricut if you have one of those machines. I thought about doing that, but then I just decided I wanted to give it a little personal touch with the hand lettering. You could use a stencil. You can write anything you want to on these too. It doesn't have to be a person's name. You could do a design. It could be stickers, you know, and this is something you could really do with little kids if you wanted a little project for the kids. I'm so sorry, my little party thing is going off. I forgot to silence my phone, and that's one of the little notifications for one of my friends who texted me. So sorry about that. That was kind of funny. Phone is now silenced. But at any rate, you can decorate these however you choose. It doesn't have to be the way that I'm doing it. You can use whatever colors you want, and you can make your own tassels. I also thought about doing tassels with yarn. That is certainly an option. I had considered it, but then I knew I had these little paper clips from the Dollar Tree and wanted to use them. So here is the clear laminate. This is a permanent laminate. Apparently they've got a couple of different kinds because I use the other kind for my transfer tape when I do things with my Cameo silhouette. So I had folded that in half also, so I had a way to just set that little bookmark in there easily and then just kind of glide right up the bookmark on both sides. I just thought it might make it easier for me to avoid any air bubbles or anything like that. So that worked out pretty well for me. And then I just trimmed off the excess and used my burnishing tool to help smooth it all out. You could use a credit card or anything like that. But I thought it came out really cute. And here they all are in their glory. So I just want to take a quick minute to remind you about Heidi Sonboul DIY. Heidi is hosting this challenge and she is phenomenal. She is a rock star. I have her channel in the description box below, so you can link right to it. You can see her happy face right there. She was celebrating just recently having gotten 100,000 subscribers. I am so excited for her. So if you want to check out her channel or some of the other playlists, you can go right here, and I'll have the link to today's playlist also in my description box below, so be sure to check it out. So moving on to DIY number 3. So for this DIY, we're going to use hot glue. We've got some jute twine from the Dollar Tree. These little mini clothespins I actually got from Walmart, but I think Dollar Tree has them as well. I've got a frame from Dollar Tree that's left over from another project. I'm going to be using the Silver Lining Waverly chalk paint. So first thing I'm doing is using my Dollar Tree pliers to pull out these little fasteners that used to hold the glass in place. And I'm gonna give the frame a couple of coats of the silver lining chalk paint. And this is the color that my daughter picked out. She is getting ready to, hopefully, maybe, we'll see, go to college. It's crazy times right now, you guys. I hope everybody is staying safe. But this is part of her color scheme for all of the stuff that we've been collecting for her hopeful dorm room. But taking a couple of pieces of the twine that are a little bit wider than the frame, and then I am lacing on 2 of these little mini clothespins to each of the pieces of twine. And I'm going right through that metal little hinge, for lack of a better term. There's a little hole that goes right through it. So then I'm going to attach it with hot glue. And I did add a little knot to where I'm attaching it. I don't know. I thought maybe it would give it something more to hold on to and be a little bit more secure. But I'm doing one side first on both of them. I figured that would give it a little bit more time to cool and really become secure, so that I would be able to pull it a little bit more taut without it coming undone in order to do the other side. So it's not completely taut, but you know, I wanted it somewhat taut. So once I had all of that glued down and secured, I did come back in and use my staple gun. Love my staple gun. I can provide a link to this in the description box as well if you're interested. You can check that out. But just wanted to add a little bit more stability. I mean, she's not going to be hanging anything heavy on this. They're just going to be little pictures that'll be hanging on it. So not too concerned there. But I thought it came out really cute. And I had her put a few of her little pictures on it. So this is what it looks like with the pictures on it. Her boyfriend and her best friend. So DIY number 4. Here we go. So for this one, we are going to be using some giant popsicle sticks, also what I think of as tongue depressors, some medium-sized Dollar Tree clothespins. I actually did end up using regular size, but you could use these. I've got a couple of signs left over from the Dollar Tree from the summer. I created a stencil with my silhouette cameo, and I'm going to be using a bunch of different colors of chalk paint. You can use whatever colors you want to. I ended up using a rainbow, but going to start off by taking the twine, the jute cord, whatever, off. And I'm showing you that I'm going to leave all of the glitter alone because my plan is to clean up the backs of the boards and use this side as my good side and to paint and do my design here. Operative word is plan. So I don't know, you guys, I seem to hit my mid-40s and it's like my brain decided to start oozing out my left ear because, yeah, what am I doing here? I've got this all prepped for paint, and I go and I start gluing down my popsicle sticks to my good side to secure my boards together to make my sign. And I'm just going right along, and at this point I'm actually worrying that, you know, I don't know if the hot glue is going to be enough to hold this. I am using a Sure Bonder. I had heard really good things about it. So I'm like, I wonder if I should be using wood glue or if this is really going to hold. And then right about here, I realize, I'm like, what am I doing? And I tried to pull them up and they weren't coming. So yeah, I'm not worried about these, the glue, the hot glue holding this anymore. These suckers are stuck. So save yourself a little trouble, you know, and do as I say, not as I do. I was just going to cover this side with craft paper originally, but yeah. So I had to sand it all down. Now I'm going to go back in with my Dollar Tree spackle. I'm filling in the 2 holes in the middle. I'm not worrying about the ones on the ends because I am going to end up using the ones on the ends for hanging this when all is said and done. But I'm just filling in that little tiny gap that's in between the signs where we put them together just to try and help make it one cohesive sign. Now, Don't sand it right away. I did wait for probably 30 minutes to an hour for that to dry fully before I sanded it. This is just the magic of television, so I was able to cut all that time out for you. Coming in and giving this a couple of coats of paint with my linen white chalk paint. This is by Rust-Oleum. And this is a really nice chalk paint. I do like the way that this goes on. It's not as thick as the home decor chalk paint, but it's really nice. So I've got all of my little medium size right now clothespins laid out just to give me an idea of where I want to lay my stencil. And I was really just eyeballing this and just lining it up as best I could. I wanted to make sure that it was centered left to right, and then also between the clothespins and the top of the sign. So using my burnishing tool, just going in, make sure it's all secure on there so I can take my transfer tape off, and then I will go in and do the stenciling. So now you're going to see in a second, I'm actually going to come in and stencil it all in white first. And if you have ever watched Natalie with Designed to the Nines, she's fantastic, another great channel. But she has recommended going back over your stencil with your base paint color, because this helps seal in your stencil so it avoids leakage. Gosh, what is the matter with my vocabulary right now? It's the lack of brains, because they've all leaked out my left ear. But I think you know what I mean. So bleeding, that's what it is. It helps to avoid the paint bleeding when you are doing your stencil. So I'm coming in with my red, orange, yellow, green, purple, or excuse me, blue. It's purple, good grief. I am going to be using a purple hanger later. Unfortunately, I lost that footage, but I do show you the end result in the very end. So you can see my little purple wire hanger that I also got from the Dollar Tree. It's like purple garden wire. So anyway, I am going to be speeding this up for you. You'll see in a second that we'll jump ahead. I'm not going to make you watch all of this, but I just wanted to at least give an opportunity to explain what I was doing here with the white. So this method actually did work out pretty well. I think I had one, maybe two little minor places where I did need to go back in and touch it up. But here we go. This is where we get to see all of the lovely stenciling. And again, you can use whatever colors you want. I was just thinking, primary colors, and then, rainbow. I don't know. I did kind of go rainbow here, but just thinking about little kids and grade school, and this is going to be something that Michaela and Alexa will be able to use to display all of their artwork, or if they did really well on an assignment and they want to display that, they'll be able to hook that up on here and show off their work. So a little place of pride. So as I mentioned, I did go back in and touch up some of the spots. Here it is all done, and I did lose the footage, but here it is with the clothes hangers and the purple hanger, and I think it came out super cute. So let me know what you think of this. So here we go with DIY number 5. And this one is a 3-part DIY. These are some pillows that my daughter already had in her room, but she wants a different color palette for school. As I mentioned, we had that silver before, so she's got like a gray and a blue theme going on. So these were remnants that I got from Joann Fabrics. They were actually 50% off, so I thought it was a pretty good deal. And I am a very basic sewer, so I have a sewing machine. I know how to operate it. I was making a ton of masks when everything went down earlier. And in the process, I ended up getting my bobbin to keep jamming on me. So I know it's something with the tension. I have not quite figured it out yet. So I've seen other people use hot glue for putting things like this together as opposed to actually sewing them. So I'm going to try it. I'm a little skeptical, I have to be honest. But you know what? I was pleasantly surprised at how well this actually worked. So we'll see if it stands the test of time, especially if Elena's in her dorm room and people are jumping on these. Goodness only knows what's going to happen. But we'll see. Now, one thing with this little gray pillow, when I first cut it, I you know, it's funny. I knew that I was going to be doing this kind of overlapping method, the way that pillow shams are, but when I was cutting it or measuring it, I still had my sewing mindset where I was making this permanent and going to be sewing all four sides. So I ended up cutting this about 4 inches too short. So I am being really conservative with making seams. So you'll notice I did that one seam for that outer edge that is going to show on the outside, but I'm leaving the other seam raw, and you'll see that in just a second. So overlapping it, and see how that edge is still raw? I'm just going to leave it like that because I know that's going to be on the inside and you won't be able to see it. And I need all of the fabric I can get at this point. So that's also why I'm like measuring it again. I'm like, how much can I get out of this? So I think I left about a 3-inch overhang, whereas I normally would have preferred to have a 5 or 6-inch overhang there. But it worked out. So I'm gluing this up. I'll set it aside to cool. And then once it's all cool, we'll flip it right side out and we'll stuff the pillow in there and see how that works. So right now I'm just wanting to make sure that I've got the same length on each side of the pillow so that it's not like wonky, if you will, that it's actually more square. Other than like, what is that, a parabola or something? I don't know. Geometry wasn't my favorite subject. But anyway, flipping it right side out now. This is after I had set it aside to let it cool. I was worried about the hot glue, but it really held. So just pushing out those little corners. I did go back in and add a little bit of hot glue to those corners just to make sure that they were completely sealed. I'm tucking the pillow in. This is the moment of truth. I'm like, oh, is this pillow gonna fit in here? I knew from left to right it was gonna be fine. It was top to bottom I was a little worried about. It fit, yes, so that was good. I was happy about that, but I did feel like it was pulling a little bit. So I decided to go in and just sew on a button, and then I'm also gonna sew on a little bit of elastic. So this is elastic I'd gotten for making the face masks. So I have a bunch of it left over. I've gotten this huge spool because I made something like 300 masks. But here we are with the elastic. It's going to be about a 1-inch loop. And if you're not a sewer, don't be afraid of this because this little hand sewing stuff is really easy. You stick the needle in there, you make sure that you catch whatever it is you're trying to sew, and then you pull the needle through, and you just keep doing that until it feels like it's secure enough. And there you are. So I felt like that was a happy accident. I like that little button. So I'm going to do the same thing with this blue fabric. It was really pretty. It was heavy though. So I was having to use, you'll see in a second, some of my paint bottles to kind of help me there to hold it down because it didn't want to stay folded. It didn't want to stay where I was putting it while I was gluing it. But it worked out just fine. And I'm going to go through this one much faster than the last one because you've seen me do it once. But essentially these forms that I'm using are 18-inch square pillow forms. So I had made sure that I had a width on my fabric of 20 inches. So I gave myself, here's the lack of brains again. I started gluing it the wrong way. So I had to flip it over and try again. I'm losing it, you guys. But as I was saying, I wanted to have a little bit of an overhang. I left it a 1-inch allowance on either side just to allow for the seams. And then also top to bottom, I added onto that 18-inch need, I added another 5 or 6 inches so that I would make sure that I had that overhang that I wanted for the pillow. So here it's all cool down and flipping it right side out. And we're gonna stuff our pillow form in there. And this is so soft. I love this fabric. It's just really, really nice. So there you go. Pillow number 2 is done. And so for the third pillow, this fabric was actually a smaller remnant than I realized when I opened it up. It wasn't wide enough to accommodate one of the pillow forms. I think it was only, I want to say it was like 14 inches wide. So I figured, you know what, I'll just make the pillow, but I will stuff it with fiberfill instead. So this is going to be not with a form, but just actual fiberfill. If you have an old pillow, you can pull some of the stuffing out of that, you know, whatever you want to use. And I did not put a seam on this one because you can kind of see the edge of the fabric right there. I thought that edge was really pretty. It had a really pretty finished edge to it. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna leave it like that and let that be a little bit of a decoration, if you will, on the pillow. So sealing down each of the sides, and then we will have our third pillow all set and done. Once it's cool again, flip it right side out. And I just thought that was really sweet. Stuffing it with the fiberfill, making sure it's got what it needs, kind of floofing it, and there you go. Isn't it cute? So here they are, all 3 together. They're slightly different sizes and shapes, and I think that that worked out really well. But you tell me what you think. Okay, so that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching to the end. You have no idea how much it means to me. Please be sure to comment and give me a big thumbs up, and be sure to watch the rest of the videos in the playlist and support those crafters as well. I really appreciate it. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Take care. Thanks so much. Bye.